Welcome, Bantees. We've got another just great episode for you. We're going to talk softball, which I know, is new for us in this podcast, but I am one of your hosts, Sam Fisher. I'm Sam Fisher. I'm sorry. I'm Sam Fisher, Bantees. I'm so sorry. Here with my equally delirious co-host and bestie,
Haley McQueen.
So, okay, thanks for joining us. I hope that you also have the giggles as you listen to us get just like another weekend of softball out there in the universe. Halo, how you doing?
Wow, I'm doing great. We're fresh off a plane from Nashville. Shout out to women's sports in general. I know this is a softball podcast, but we do have to shout out Maddie Segrist, who just won AU Pro Hoops up in Nashville. Congrats, Maddie. The coolest thing to come out of Villanova, at least on the basketball side, I think.
I have to agree.
Yeah, but Nashville was pretty great. So hopped on a plane this morning. We're here. I was watching softball all weekend on my phone,
as you should,
while also working at AU. It was great. But yeah, happy to be here. How was your weekend?
Listen, I caught up on some well-needed sleep this weekend. Last week,
well earned.
We shot a really, really big time commercial for the AUSL. And yeah, I was definitely at the field for 14 hours, which where else would you want to spend any sort of time? But it was cool to see like everything, like the uniforms, everything kind of come together in person and just get excited about what's to come this summer with our athletes. It was great, but I was tired. I won't lie. I was a little tired.
Yeah, as you should be. People don't realize all the effort that goes into like photos and videos and like content like that. Yeah. It is an all day affair, all day shoots.
The hairspray that gets in your hair, just like repeatedly putting down the flyaways.
First world problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
that's
just
wild.
When your hair be crunchy, but yeah, man, we've been there a time or two with a little photo shoot, video shoot.
A time or two. It makes you feel glamorous. It makes you feel like you're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Which is great because this is going to be a great segue. Speaking of Hollywood, one of my favorite things that I watched this weekend was UCLA and Arizona.
Holy cow.
Wow. Just wow. First of all, criminal that those games weren't streamed anywhere and you couldn't watch them. Criminal. No. I would like to put in like a formal legal request, like I'm contacting my attorney about it. Like from a softball purist perspective, UCLA and Arizona is what you want to watch, but the game lived up to the hype and it's just so back and forth. Megan Grant hits a 3-run bomb. They exchange 2-run home runs and then Arizona walks it off on a sac fly. A walk-off sac fly. Can we just talk about how beautiful
amazing
it is? You don't have to go like you don't have to hit a home run every single at bat. Those will come. Like doing simple tasks in the box to produce runs is what wins games. Arizona proved that. I think Arizona is severely underrated. Like I think a lot of people are hyping up OU, Texas, Florida, LSU even, like as they should, right?
Yes.
Arizona is legit.
Yeah, they're legit. 20-2. They're 20-2.
I can easily see them being in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that pick because they've had a little bit of like a rebuilding era, know, and I think that now they're settled. I think now that they're playing the way that we can all remember Arizona playing. So
absolutely.
Ooh-wee. That man, I love the back and forth. I knew you were gonna love the walk-off sac fly because that's just getting it done, man.
You don't have to do too much.
Just get it done. Just get it far enough out there.
When you try to do too much, you never end up doing enough.
That's when the ball really kind of dribbles off your bat.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But what else? Let's see. Can we talk about two teams that are going to meet next weekend that have not yet lost a game? And that is, obviously, nobody will be surprised with me saying Oklahoma.
Of course. They don't lose until
19-0.
Never.
And they face also a 19-0 team in South Carolina.
South freaking Carolina.
My goodness.
Did you have that on your softball bingo card when we were coming into the season? Because I sure did not.
I did not. And what I like about this matchup is that they've kind of played similar preseason schedules. They've had some challenges. They've had some maybe lighter games. You know, they've played a very similar schedule. So they're 19-0. Looks alike. And they're going to meet. It'll be the first series that OU has played as an SEC team. I am anxious to see how that goes. But yeah, South Carolina freaking just swept Duke 14-7, 4-2, and 12-7. They
dominated them.
Duke, who has been beating everybody else.
Yeah, Duke. I was really high on Duke last week after Mary Nutter. They went undefeated at Mary Nutter. They looked great. Cassidy Curd, I still think Cassidy Curd is one of the best pitchers in the country. She didn't look super great this weekend, but I think we have to give credit to South Carolina. Like, the story with South Carolina historically has been, and this is before Ashley Chastain has taken over and done an incredible job, obviously. Like, can you imagine, like, going back to your home? Like, that's where she wanted to be. Like, it's her dream job. She gets the job, and she starts 19-0. You can't imagine a better start than that.
Right.
But the offense was always the issue for South Carolina. They had the pitching. Alana Vaughter was there for them. They had great runs. Oh my gosh, the flamethrower had a great run in the SEC tournament. They just could never really piece it together and be consistent offensively. Now it's literally a complete 180. They're averaging 8.8 runs per game, almost 9 runs per game. Yeah. Their team slugging percentage is .603. So
good.
Like, what are we even talking about? I think it's a beautiful combination of kids that were there. They used the portal really effectively. They got, a transfer from Oklahoma. She obviously brought on, a few kids that transferred from Charlotte with her. Right. But I don't know that I've ever been excited about South Carolina softball. And no offense to the Gamecocks. It's making a great story right now.
Yes.
Can they beat Oklahoma?
I don't see why not. They we've been high on Duke, as we should be, right? Duke is proving it. They scored 30 runs in 3 games against Duke. That scoring 30 runs in 3 games against anybody, that's a lot of runs.
But against a top 10 team,
you're proving something. Something. I'm excited to see that matchup. That's next. Oh wait, no, that's this weekend. Oh my God, it's
this weekend. We are full send into conference play.
Oh,
how crazy is that?
It's a little crazy. I won't lie.
Bizarre.
I would love to talk about some of the upsets that we saw this weekend. There was
love to see it.
And by upsets, I mean there were some games that they were pretty sure wins. Like Ohio State over Georgia 7-0. That was that's an upset, but they handled.
It's not like a 3-2 walk-off grand slam upset. It's a 7-0 dominating upset.
That was almost a 5-inning game. And this one I love, Mizzou over Nebraska. Mizzou has had a very hard start. They had their little tushies just kept getting handed to them.
Yes, they lost a lot coming off last season. You lose Jenna Laird, you lose a ton of really veteran leadership under Larissa Anderson. So I think it's going to take them a little bit to find who they are. Totally. But they had this a little issue last year as well. They got really hot towards the end. Yeah. Ended up making it out somehow out of that regional against Omaha.
Right. And the most exciting regional we saw.
That was insane. They'll be okay. I think getting a win like that against Nebraska, who is so talented, just top to bottom, that could be really great momentum for them to kind of get things going as they head into SEC play. And the SEC is going to be a gauntlet for everyone this year.
It is going to be so awesome. Yeah. And I think, like you said, people are talking about certain schools, but Florida's 23-1. I'm scared.
Who's Florida's only lost to? Duke.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they kicked their tushies.
They sure did. And South Carolina just kicked Duke's tushies. And no one expects South Carolina to do anything in the SEC. so...
It's so exciting. Also, did you see my brain buffer just now? And you're like, who's the only lost
Yeah,
team? Like,
you definitely glitched, and that's fine.
I glitched.
It's a fun fact. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, who was Florida's only lost to? Because Florida has been just like, we haven't even really talked about Florida that much because they are just murdering
like, what's
everyone.
to say? They're just freaking shoemaker. Like, I wrote it down. 444 batting average, 11 home runs, 1,014 slug, only 3 strikeouts. Halo, I just want people to really understand the transition from high school to college is not an easy one. It is big jump. It is a huge jump when you're going to a school like Florida. A huge jump. And she has 3 strikeouts in 24 games.
That's insane.
That's insane. And not only that, she's 12 for 12 in stolen bases. So this girl is putting the ball out of the park, and when she's not, she's stealing bases. It's not supposed to be that easy.
It's not supposed to.
We spent our whole lives telling people that softball's hard, and now they're like, "Is it?
Maybe it was just hard for us."
Maybe.
That's what they're making it. That's what they're making it seem like with these kids and these stats.
Can you help us?
Yeah, Taylor, come on the pod, help us out. Let us know what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what your hitting routine is, what your nighttime skincare routine is. Like, we would love to know.
We could have her on the pod.
Yeah, we need to get her on the pod. We need to contact our people.
Make a note.
Contact her
Tim
people.
Walton.
Call Tim Walton. Hey, speaking of Tim Walton, 1,000 wins for Coach Walton this weekend.
We're so proud.
We love you, Coach Walton.
I would love to say that LMU did give him one of those wins back in 2010. So to help you get there, Coach,
you contributed. You contributed. I don't know how many losses I gave him. I gave him quite a few, to be honest.
We're here for you, Coach Walton. Like,
we support you.
We lost 13-1. We didn't want to make you work too hard, so we gave you a 5-inning game. But on the way to 1,000,
and go Lions and Roll Tide.
Asia Pakolba hit a leadoff home run.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. Our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
So that's how that game went. 1,000 wins, so cool. So, and you love to see it because I love when that kind of stuff happens because you see all the alum and all the people who he's impacted all their lives, like still supporting people who are years graduated, gone from the program, haven't played softball in a long time, and they're still like Coach Walton.
That's the cool thing. If I could go on a little bit of a recruiting tangent right now, because that just really opened the floor there. Like, that's the stuff you need to pay attention to when you are looking to go to a university. Yeah. Look at how engaged the alumni are. Look at how the people talk about how much they loved playing for this coach at this school. Like, really pay attention to those culture pieces, because you don't want to just go somewhere because that coach has 1,000 wins if you're not going to be happy playing for that coach.
Right.
These coaches that are successful build successful cultures, and successful cultures win over the long term. So it's a major red flag if alumni don't come back and support their coach.
Such a good point. And I really we have so much more softball to talk about, but that was a really good note that we could just wrap this whole thing on.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. In similar news, Texas A&M celebrated 50 years of women playing sports at Texas A&M over the weekend. Gig 'em.
We love to see it.
We saw Tori Vidalis out there.
Friend of the program. And Amanda Scarborough, this is what we're talking about. Amanda Scarborough has been graduated for longer than I've been graduated. And she's out there. I know, sorry. That was a nice way of being she older than me. Hey, Amanda, sorry about that. But she's out there throwing out a first pitch. I just loved seeing that. And that, Trisha Ford hasn't been there for long. Right.
At Texas A&M, and it's just really cool to see the culture. I just really love to see it, and I love that they celebrated that 50 years of women playing sports at Texas A&M, and they got to really celebrate it out there with softball.
Think about how far the sport has come in 50 years. Think about where the SEC is now. That's why when people say oh, women's sports is exploding, it's very true. If you put it in the same timeline as men's sports, we are very ahead of the curve, which is awesome. Still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
But just to think about how far the game has come in 50 years is incredible. From the Texas A&M was in the SEC 50 years ago, but Alabama is having a similar celebration this year as well, where it's 50 years of Title IX. And it's like to go from no opportunities to playing in a conference in the SEC that has now become the deepest and best in college softball is it's unreal.
I mean, I think of it, this is something that will hit home with you. I remember the SEC winning their first national championship. Roll Tide
to that.
That, like, think about the Arizona UCLA matchup we saw this weekend. How historic that is. Like, for years, it was UCLA Arizona was the softball conversation.
That was it.
And now look at, I don't even think we like are talking about everyone else. Like, how it has spread, how it has grown, how, like you said, the Pac-12 don't even exist anymore. Pac-12 was the Pac-8 at one point.
Right. Look how far we've come.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah. Which, by the way, we didn't even talk about Stanford playing in their ACC opener and then losing to Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Golly. It's probably because I still am not used to them being in the ACC.
No, I'm not used to that
It's
at all.
just
ACC, it doesn't make sense. Like, Palo Alto is obviously not on the Atlantic coast. So, like, the Atlantic Coast Conference and Stanford just, like, it doesn't really compute yet. It's probably going to take me, like, 10 years to get used to this. And then,
100%.
I'm sure there's going to be conference realignment somewhere. Yeah. Then they'll just switch in. But I was very curious how cross-country travel was going to affect Stanford. Clearly it did. I mean, can you imagine? First of all, these kids are trying to get a degree from Stanford, so, like, that's just kind of not easy. Yeah. For you to have to fly 6 hours across the country, go play a 3-game series, fly 6 hours back, that's got to be exhausting. Yeah. On top of you're doing, like, biomedical science homework in your, like, upper level chemistry classes, like, you're an architect or something, you're like an engineer, you're about to, like, design, you're about to create the next Apple or something, like.
Right. That takes time.
I could never.
It is a lot to think about. I'm really curious how this season's going to go, because that's the first thing I thought of with, like, UCLA going to Michigan. Like, that, like, that's just, like, stuff like that where you're like, it's probably so cold in Michigan.
It feels
and,
wrong.
Like, yeah. In LA, you're, like, getting a tan in March. Right. And then you're like, let's go play softball in Michigan.
Right. Do they walk off the plane and immediately freeze?
Probably. Yeah. Like, they get, like, icicles in their noses, and probably.
Yeah, I would.
I know that's what would happen to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's keep going. Shall we? I
want to go down your list. You have a long list of notes here.
I think mostly was like, tell Halo I love her. You know, like, there's some of that mixed in there. I did add a note to call Coach Walton. You know,
that's great. Yeah, we do have to go. We have to call Coach Walton.
I would love to talk about San Diego State getting upset thrice this weekend. Thrice they got upset, and one was Notre Dame 5-4. They Fullerton 7-4, and Utah 1-0. SDSU started off hot.
They were undefeated in Clearwater.
Hot to go.
Yeah, now they're to go.
You know what a good time to have a challenge, because you know what, like, you're getting ready to play in conference. Like, no, you can't mess around. Yeah, you can't mess around.
I mean, like, you would think that they would learn something from it. Like, Nuvi's going to do a great job with the general 100%. Direction that they're going to go. And that's how a lot of these mid-majors will load their schedule, right? Like, you play a really tough preseason, pre-conference schedule, which they did, going to all of these tournaments, playing all of these Power 4 teams. They're not shying away from anyone, which is good. Yeah. But what a humbling, I think, experience for you to be, like, riding that sky high of beating major programs like in Alabama, you know, going undefeated in Clearwater. And then, like, wait, okay, Like we can't just ride the high of that going into conference play where we're going to face a little bit less competition. Like we've got to keep the standard every single day. I'm sure that's what Nuvi's pitch is going to be. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to win their conference.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think that those losses are going to hurt their chances of hosting a regional, because I do think if they would have kept going, and then maybe they like go undefeated in conference play or only have a couple losses in conference play, there could have been an argument for them to host a regional.
Totally.
In my opinion, that was the track that they were on.
Totally.
I don't think that's going to happen now. They're probably going to end up getting sent to UCLA,
Texas.
probably, right? Like,
yeah.
But I think they're going to be fine.
I like that mindset too, what you're saying, where it's like, you can never get complacent, and that's when you're winning or losing, right? And this is not talking about San Diego State in particular. This is talking about anybody, and that's why when we had Kinsey Hansen on, where she's like, no, we want to, like, this is our standard, and no matter what, this is going to be our standard. And I can think back on, playing at sweet little LMU and like losing a lot. And it's like, well, like, we're not going to change anything of who we are, because like we put our best on the field? Did we practice, and like the other team just beat us, versus getting complacent where it's like, oh, I remember, we beat Notre Dame my senior year, which was a big win for us. Notre Dame. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, like we can do this. But it's like, if you ride this, that's scary in a season. It's like riding this, staying consistent, continuing to put in the work. What made you successful yesterday, and not changing it because of the outcome today, like continuing that ride. But
you got to stay neutral.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get nauseous. If you really try to ride those waves, you're going to get nauseous.
No,
it's not going to be a fun experience. Stay neutral. Stay in the calm water. Nice and easy.
Oh, like waist deep.
Stay in the calm water. You know who else got upset a lot this past week, Sam?
Tell me.
Texas Tech.
Golly, those poor kids. They
Red Raiders.
The Red Raiders. They got upset by A&M, but then they also beat A&M. So like
they beat A&M.
Then they lost.
They lost to Idaho State.
They did. Oh, that was the one. I knew. I was like, I'm missing something.
And they lost to North Texas, which I don't know if you. I don't know if you saw. They were about to beat North Texas, and then North Texas decides to hit a walk-off grand salami. Like an absolute tank.
That's what they call a no-doubter.
It's a no-doubter nuke.
Oh, a nuke.
So I am. Here's the thing with Texas Tech. Obviously, paid a lot of money to Nyjah, friend of the program. We love Nyjah. Nyjah, we know you're listening. We
welcome you back anytime.
So much, and we're so happy for you for getting that bag, because it's going to set the standard for a lot of other female athletes that are out there. But with that comes a very high level of expectation. Yeah. When you are paying someone to come in, you are paying them to not only win, but you're essentially paying the entire team to win. That's what you expect, right? Yeah. And so, just in getting lost in the softball Twitterverse a little bit, it's like there are some rumblings of some disappointments, because you're investing all of this money and not quite meeting the expectations. I think right now, I think that's fair to say. And it seems to me right now they are a completely different team when Nyjah's in the circle versus when she's not.
Totally. And you know what's so interesting, Halo, about this? Because I agree with you completely. But Texas Tech, I don't know if it's going to be true this week, but they were ranked in the top 10. When have they been ranked in the top 10? When has Texas Tech been in the conversation the way that they're in the conversation now?
Never.
So, we're expecting from this player and the coaching change and all this stuff, we're expecting a complete 180 because of this, when usually we give people maybe a couple seasons to figure it out. I don't know. Yeah. So like, flip side of the coin is like, did we do this? 100%. Do we have these expectations? 100%. But like, look at where we came from and look at where we are now. Texas Tech, my God, they'd be on the map.
They are on the map. They are all over the map. Everyone knows who they are.
Yeah.
Everyone knows where Lubbock, Texas is now, hopefully.
They Googled it.
They Googled it and they found out.
Yeah.
Give them a breath. Do you have them in the World Series? Long dramatic pause.
If Stanford got to the World Series with Nyjah, I think Texas Tech has a chance to get to the World Series with Nyjah.
I don't have him in the World Series right now.
I realize I didn't answer your question, but that's my reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
I can
fascinating.
See it. This is hold on. Let me write this down. 1 through 8. The pipeline to the women's national team.
HPP has helped me find a new identity in like who I am as a player. It's helped show how hard work pays off, and it's really got me excited for the future of our game, the future for me, the future for my fellow athletes, and for what I strive to do in the future in college and then potentially with USA softball in the future.
1 through 8. I'll give you my 8 because I don't. Right now, this could change, but as of right now, here's where I see it going. Okay. I have OU in Texas.
Yep.
Because duh.
Duh. No brainer.
I've got Florida also because duh.
Yes.
I've got Arizona.
I love.
I've got UCLA.
Okay.
I've got Texas A&M.
Okay.
I love Trisha Ford so much.
I love Trisha Ford.
I have Seminole Magic, Florida State.
Okay.
And here's my dark horse.
I'm here for it.
I think this is the year. Arkansas.
Ooh.
I think this is the year Arkansas can make it. We haven't talked a lot about them. I'm very interested to see what they look like going into conference play. But they seem to be firing on all cylinders. Offense is incredible. Bree Ellis is having a monster season. Monster of a season. She's hitting 556, on base percentage of 686, slugging 14. They're walking her. She's slugging 1422. I would walk her too. And she's already got 33 runs batted in.
That's
33.
More than one game. Insane.
So I like a little woo pig action.
Yeah.
Pig. Zoe.
I love this. I had Duke on mine. I just like.
You think they're gonna turn it around?
I want them to.
Yeah.
Because last year they made it the first time program history, and that program is 5 minutes old. So how cool to make it back to back.
That was such a good story too. Shout out to Peyton St. George for crying her eyes out too in Oklahoma City. Just bawling. Pure joy. Just pure joy.
Pure joy. I had a hard time. I had Texas OU, Florida, UCLA as well.
Easy.
Duke was my 5, and I had trouble. I don't know. I know we texted about this earlier, but like the rest, I would love to see Arizona back at the World Series. I would. Maybe my dark horse is South Carolina with the way that they're playing right now.
Can you imagine?
Honestly, like how fun would that be? Just for like the whole gang.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? First year as a head coach.
I would love that.
Well, not as a head coach, but as a head coach at that program.
Yeah.
Taking your team to the World Series.
No, totally.
That would literally be a complete 180 turnaround. And everyone would be rooting for them.
No, 100%.
Outside of all the Oklahoma fans. But
Right. Boomer. But yeah, no, I really like your choices. Like I can't pick 8, I don't think. I think that you did a really good job. But
it's gonna be interesting. Arkansas can hit.
I saw it in person in Palm Springs, and I was like, yikes. You know what I mean?
They can absolutely rake. And that ballpark too, if they get home field advantage, those Razorback fans, Fayetteville's not a big place, but those fans will show up and show out. They will pack Bogle Park. Yep. They'll fill that berm out there in the outfield, and the ball flies there.
And they will woo pig.
And they will woo all the pigs.
I would also like to note with the Arkansas conversation that Courtney Day, who's hitting in that lineup, also has 33 RBIs. Her slug is 1,085. She put a ball out at Mary Nutter that I was like, did that ball offend your family personally? Like, so Bree, these hitters are, they be doing it. So I think they've got a really complete team. I think being led by Courtney Deifel, like, how do you go wrong? So you know what?
We love Courtney Deifel. We love Courtney Deifel on this program.
We should call her.
Wait, let's call her. Let's call her.
Hold on. I'm just going to add it to my list.
Yeah. Let's call her. Her.
So, God, what a note. I think that's all I had in all of my notes. I think
we went through all the notes.
We went through all.
And I still feel like we didn't cover everything, because that's how crazy of a softball season this has been thus far. And it's only going to get crazier from here as we enter conference play. We're going to talk so much conference realignment with UCLA playing in the Big 10, Arizona playing in the Big 12, OU and Texas now in the SEC, Stanford, Cal now in the ACC. Like, how is that going to affect the traditional things that we've known about these conferences as it relates to softball and the NCAA tournament? Like, I'm just mostly confused. Does that affect regionals? Because regionals have always been local, right? Like, but now that conference is, teams are used to going everywhere. Like,
they're not local.
They're not local. I'm just curious how that's all going to shake out. But we know one thing: it's going to be awesome.
And we know one more thing is that we're going to be here to talk about it.
We will be here to talk about it. Unless USA Softball fires us, which who knows? Who knows, you guys?
No. I think we're safe. We talk enough nonsense that they're like, yeah.
I still can't believe they gave us mics.
Look at and they, you know what?
And they're still working. And they're
working. Well, folks, Bantees, let us know what you think about this week's recap. I mean, softball season is just so exciting, but as we go forward, you know where to find us, and you know we'll be watching, and go Lions. You know what I mean?
And go Lions and roll Tide.
That's right.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Thanks for being with us. Until next time. Bantees forever.
At this time, we would like to thank the USA Softball Store at usasoftballstore.com for our amazing gear this week. You guys can have the exact same gear that Samu and I have literally right now if you go to usasoftballstore.com. So go literally right now, and you can use code BHB15 right now and get 15% off your entire purchase. So buy a lot of stuff, get that 15%, let it all go to use. usasoftballstore.com. Again, that code is BHB15.